Hello everybody, it's Metal Friday again on Kaput. My name is Oliver and today we're here for a very quick and dirty show because we have a quick and dirty band at hand that I'm going to rank, and I'm talking about one of the big four of Swedish death metal this time. We are talking about Dismember. 8 albums between 1991 and 2008. The band is still around, playing the festival circuit. No album since 2008, but absolute legends in the field and pioneers in Swedish death metal. And yeah, let's rank these guys and their catalog, of course. If you like my Metal Fridays and my rankings of metal classics, make sure to give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and you won't miss any further rankings. So I was familiar with the first 4 albums, which I got right when they came out. Then I dropped out of metal and yeah, listened to their last 4 albums for the first time for this ranking show. So yeah, let's see what this brings. About the band, Dismember formed in 1988. The members were band leader Fred Estby, who's the drummer, singer Matti Kaki, guitar players Robert Zennebeck and David Blomqvist, and bass player Richard Cabeza. Right after forming, the band split up shortly afterwards, and Matti Kaki, Fred Estby and David Blomqvist joined Michael Amott in Carnage, another Swedish death metal band who released one great album, Dark Recollections, also one of the very first albums in the Swedish death metal boom. Carnage wasn't meant to last. Michael Amott surely went to Carcass, formed Arch Enemy later, and the 3 guys I mentioned went back to Dismember and recorded their debut album Like an Ever-Flowing Stream in 91. Was released on Nuclear Blast, and it was yeah, Entombed were the first. Their album Left Hand Path came out in 1990. Then it took a while before the other labels picked up the other Swedish bands, but Dismember were one of the first, together with Grave and Unleashed, of course. So some people say they belong to the big 4 of Swedish death metal, although I would argue that a couple of those bands probably sold less than a couple other Swedish bands who would come later in the game. Okay, so that's a very short history of Dismember. Not that much to talk about. They stayed together for the whole time, no lineup changes whatsoever. Released 8 albums in pretty quick succession every 2 or 3 years. Then they split up. But like I said, they're still around playing festivals, and yeah, this is my ranking. So on number 8, I have their second to last album, The God That Never Was, which came out in 2006. Like their debut, cover artwork by Dan Seagrave, who's famous for his death metal artworks and yeah, has a very iconic style. The God That Never Was isn't a bad album. I don't think Dismember has any bad albums, but this is not exactly a very creatively ambitious band. So they have their sound. There's pretty much stick to this sound for the whole of their career. Not that many adventures, and so while the albums are all fairly enjoyable, if you listen to all 8 of them in a row, it gets a little bit boring and the albums get a little bit samey. Maybe The God That Never Was has the disadvantage that I don't know it that well, and it's, yeah, one of their last albums. I don't think it's that memorable. I like the title track, which is the opener, 2 minutes long. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, you could say. The album has 11 songs, 35 minutes, so this is a very, like I said, quick and dirty job. Time Heals Nothing is a little bit more melodic. Dismember are huge fans of Iron Maiden, and you hear that on a couple of tracks. They have these melodic guitar leads by David Blomqvist. Beautiful. Sometimes it works better. Sometimes it doesn't work that well. On this song, I think it's great. Never Forget, Never Forgive is this 1.5 minute fast thrashing death metal song that's also okay. And they have an instrumental, Phantoms of the Oath, that's also very reminiscent of classic Iron Maiden, so very melodic. Where No Ghost is Holy, the closer, usually for the closer they do a little bit more epic stuff, they go a little bit slower, and that's the case here. Yeah, like I said, this isn't a bad album, but I don't think it's that memorable and interesting. So for me, it was the worst of the bunch. But yeah, you won't regret it if you listen to it. So yeah, The God That Never Was from 2006 is my number 8. My number 7 is their final album, Dismember from 2008. Pretty classic move to call your final album or to have a self-titled album and to make it your last is even more fitting. I don't know if that was planned, if they decided that, or if they knew that this was going to be their last, but that's the way it came out. Maybe it's the heaviest album, pretty crushing, rather mid-tempo with a couple of faster songs. So the opener, Death Conquers All, is pretty fast, as is the second one, Europa Burns. And they belong to the best tracks. Under Blood Red Sky is again a little bit more melodic, and it's the longest track on this one with, no, the second longest, sorry, with 5.5 minutes. Legion, another fast song. Yeah, then it gets a bit samey. I think it gets a bit boring around the middle section of the album. Picks up at the end with the final track, Black Sun, 6.5 minutes. That's a pretty cool song. I think it's one of Dismember's best. Yeah, I had this album a little bit higher, but in the end, yeah, it lacks a bit variety. It's a straight go for the throat thing, and yeah, I don't think it's one of their best, but yeah, it's an okay listen. So Dismember, self-titled from 2008, their final album, is my number 7. On number 6, I have Hate Campaign from 2000, which is their 5th album. And I read that, yeah, I think on Metal Archives, I think it's their lowest ranked album in terms of reviews, but I'm not sure. But it's not one of their most popular albums. And I get it. It's maybe the first album where it seemed that Dismember are a little bit like treading water. So it's not that different from the album that came before, which was called Death Metal. Pretty fast, classical Dismember style. So you have those down-tuned guitars, this grinding chainsaw-like sound. Cool riffs, Matty Kaki's insane barking. I think actually that Hate Campaign is a pretty enjoyable album. I like fast death metal, and this one delivers. Suicidal Revelations, the opener, cool song. Questionable Ethics. I think this song title is hilarious because it's about this serial killer who's doing these these horrible, atrocious crimes, and then the song is called Questionable Ethics. I think that's pretty funny. Beyond Good and Evil is also good. Enslaved to Bitterness is a song where these Iron Maiden-like melodic leads come back into play. It has a bit of an Irish folk vibe that I don't like that much, so this one doesn't work for me. Patrol 17 is pretty cool, and yeah, the last two tracks, In Death's Cold Embrace and the title track, Hate Campaign, which is also the longest one. These are pretty good. Yeah, I like this album a bit better than the last two, of course, or else I wouldn't have ranked it higher than those. Another album that gets the job done pretty quick, so 11 songs, 33 minutes. If you like your death metal fast and uncompromising, check this one out. I guess you will like it. My where we at? Number 5. My number 5 is the album I just mentioned before. It's called Death Metal, and it's from 1997. And yeah, I could almost repeat what I said about Hate Campaign, but the songs on this one are a little bit better, and here you've heard this style like for the first time and not the second, so it's a little bit better. Opener of Fire, 3 minute 40, pretty fast death metal song. Trend Killer, even shorter, 2 minutes 11 seconds, also pretty cool. Let the Napalm Rain is more mid-tempo, also a good track. Live for the Fear of Pain, great. Stillborn Waste, one of the longest songs of the album with a little bit over 4 minutes, is a little bit doomier, like that one as well. Again, the last two tracks are a little bit more epic. Silent Are the Watchers has, again, these melodic leads, which they really excel at. Hats off to David Blomqvist, who's playing lead guitar. And the last one is also pretty great. Mistweaver, another song that mixes like doomy passages with more mid-tempo approach. I think death metal is an enjoyable album. Nothing to write home about, no adventures. If you want adventurous albums, Dismember are not the band for you. They are playing straight, no frills Swedish death metal, and they do it well. So this is what you get. Death metal is my number 5. On number 4, maybe this is controversial, I don't know, but I really like this album. I have Massive Killing Capacity from 1995. And I don't know, were they trying to, or were they inspired by Bolt Thrower? The cover artwork looks a bit like that. Even the album title sounds a bit like something Bolt Thrower could have come up with. And Dismember noticeably dropped the tempos on this one. So this is more mid-tempo, a little bit more melodic, more accessible. Yeah, probably their most accessible album and their most commercial, if you want to put it like that. I like this one a lot. Maybe because it's a little bit off the beaten path, and sounds a little bit different than their other albums. I Saw Them Die is a great opener. On Frozen Fields is a highlight in their discography. Super melodic and very hooky, cool song. War Dead is a great song. Collection of Blood could almost be a hit. To me, it's one of their best tracks. Life, Another Shape of Sorrow is another one of their epic closers. Casket Garden, which was a single, also pretty cool. yeah, like I said, it was kind of a departure from their typical style. I guess purists might be turned off because of that, but I like it. And yeah, maybe Dismember could have tried a little bit more often to do different things, because I think they were pretty capable on the instruments and good songwriters. Um, Maybe they could have mixed it up a couple of times more, but okay. They had their career, and that was the music they decided to play. They did it well. Um, Makes me like Massive Killing Capacity even more. So this is my number 4. On number 3, I have their third to last album, Where Ironcrosses Grow, which came out in, let me check, didn't put it down. Yeah, it came out in 2004, sorry. And like I said before, didn't know this one when going into this. And yeah, this really grew on me and surprised me the most. Really like it. I think it has some great tracks, 10 songs, 38 minutes. Where Iron Crosses Grow, the opener, 2.5 minutes. Great song, Forged with Hate. Has this kind of instantly hooky chorus. Me God is a little slower, also cool. Tragedy of the Faithful, another one that's a bit more melodic. Chasing the Serpent, also great. Sword of Light, great. Children of the Cross, the longest track, 5 minutes. I think, yeah, after a couple of albums that were a bit samey and lackluster, I think Where Ironcrosses Grow was a pretty strong effort. So I like this one. It's my number 3. Yeah, went a bit downhill from there, but check this one out if you don't know it yet. On number 2, and now I've got to bring out the vinyl, I have the debut with this beautiful cover artwork by Dan Seagrave, absolutely iconic. The back cover as well, with these guys soaked in fake blood, looking evil, with the upside down cross. I think it's Richard Cabeza, the bass player in the middle. Maddie Kaki looking over the shoulder of Fred Espy. Yeah, I bought this one right when it came out. It was, like I said, not exactly the start of Swedish death metal, but it was very early, and the sound was new. These down-tuned guitars, rumbling bass, and I like this one right away. Starts off great with an absolute classic of Swedish death metal, Override of the Overture. Soon to Be Dead is one of those fast tracks. I think it's under 2 minutes long. Pretty great. Yeah, and So Is Life is probably the weakest song on the album. Dismembered, the opener on side 2. Great one. Here they slow it down, bring in these melodic leads that I already mentioned, a little bit more atmosphere. Skin Her Alive is this gory, yeah, some would say misogynistic song. Yeah, it's about a serial killer whose victims are women, of course, but it's a great death metal song. Sickening Art is also great, and then the album ends with In Death's Sleep, which is this atmospheric and slow song. The album was re-released 2 times with a couple of bonus tracks, so I think if you get the last version of it, there's 4 bonus tracks on it. Value for money, but yeah, these 8 tracks are what you're looking for, and this album should be in your collection if you're into Swedish death metal or death metal in general. But I only have it on number 2, and this is the biggest surprise for me, because on number 1 I have their sophomore album from 1993, Indecent and Obscene. And I was so surprised because I think back then when it came out I was disappointed by it and I didn't like it that much. But going into it, I really loved it, and I think it's stronger than the debut. Fleshless and Skinfather, the 2 opening tracks, are straight up classic, fast. Swedish death metal. Sorrow Filled is a little bit slower again, also great. Reborn in Blasphemy is an absolute classic of Swedish death metal. Great song. Eviscerated Bitch is in the tradition of Skinner Alive, of course. And then the album ends with Dreaming in Red, which is again this slower, atmospheric and melodic track. Yeah, the cover artwork, they were really trying to piss people off back then. Before this one, there was the EP pieces with their heads chopped off on the cover. So they were really trying hard to bring child protectors to the barricades. And there was really I think there was a trial because of one of the songs. I don't know if it was Eviscerated Bitch, and but they had someone who defended them and said that their lyrics are like a Greek tragedy, and so yeah, all the charges were dropped. But that was yeah, back in the days when you could still really shock people with a death metal record. Today, no one really notices these albums when they come out. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Dismember, make sure to check them out. Maybe my ranking will help you, but don't yeah, also try out the albums I ranked low, because I think there's enjoyable stuff on all of their records. They haven't made a bad one, like I said before. And yeah, if you like my little ranking of Dismember, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, of course. And yeah, talk to me in the comments about Swedish death metal and Dismember. Enjoy Metal Friday and see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.